Well, I think we live in a very, very confusing world. I mean, technology is exploding all around us. We don't need to all go in. We all understand it. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here blogging is a kind of an amazing development in technology. And if you're a brand, I mean, what do you do? How do you navigate through all this stuff? And in a way, you can't. There is no blueprint for saying this is how you do it. There isn't a kind of a formula that says, well, you do a TV commercial. From the TV commercial, you set up a website. When you've set up a website, you start doing that. You do it there, blogs there. You go into video games. Or, it can be a multitude of options. I think in the end, when you're in a world like that, all you can really do is simply say, nobody really knows. So what I'll do is try and think of better ideas. That's the only guarantee. The guarantee is to say, actually, I might be wrong in selecting that medium, I might be wrong in starting there, I might be wrong in doing that, but actually what I can do, what I do know, is if I have a great brand idea, there's a greater and better chance that that will communicate and get through. And that's the only guarantee. Well, we recently won the LG business, which is a fantastic piece of business to win. Without giving anything away, because we're in the midst of creative development at the moment, I do think that we're going to stay true to the idea of life's good, which has been the LG line for some time, which actually I think is a great line and actually does define what they believe and how they think about technology. The thing for us is to bring that line alive and give it a bit more meaning. But in essence, they have a great optimistic view of the future and the wonderful things that it holds for us. And that we will be hopefully communicating in our work. New technology has had a tremendous impact on the craft in our industry. But it's important to remember that technology has always been a spur to creativity. Right back to whoever invented a paintbrush, moved the idea of painting pictures forward. All of a sudden I could do finer detail, I could make more interesting pictures. I didn't have to use a sort of blunt stick. We must understand that technology is fundamental to the craft of any creative profession. And of course what you have today is this explosion of opportunity. The great danger, of course, in all of that is that you mistake idea for craft. But always, one also then has to remember that we always say, advertising is 80% idea, but it's also 80% execution. So, one thing can infect another. But the danger is that you become over-reliant upon technology and not on the idea that you're communicating. John Cleese had a great line, and he said, remember, nobody laughed at clever lighting. Well, I think when you look around today, and there's one of those questions, which is how important is design in terms of technology, how it looks, how it feels. And I think a lot of brands forget how fundamentally important that is. Because actually what great design does, apart from obviously it has a functional value, in other words, it makes things work better, but that's the primary function of design, is to actually make things work better. But also it has a tactile quality. It makes you fall in love with it, and it opens up the accessibility of that piece of technology, which is fundamentally important as things change so fast and getting people to understand what they can and can't do. Design is making access or creating access to that technology easier to understand and easier to appreciate. So design becomes ever more important. I mean, we look at design of cars and we sort of go, oh, that's a fantastically sexy looking car. But we understand how cars work. When you're dealing with technology, which is like, well, how does this work? What can I do with it? Design plays a fundamental part in creating a pathway to understanding that technology. Yeah, technology, as it evolves, the old technology is always discarded or thrown away, and especially, the apostles of the new technology always kind of go, that's all rubbish and nobody's going to use that anymore. First of all, we have to understand that one piece of new technology doesn't necessarily dismiss or denigrate the old technology. It's just it expands our possibilities. It expands our opportunities. I mean, I love taking pictures, and I did an exhibition some time ago, and of course, you know, I shot on 5.4, and it was brilliant with the quality I was getting. But if I was doing that today, I'd definitely be shooting digital, and I've shot some digital stuff, and it is absolutely fantastic. And what it does for me is it just opens up possibilities. Film has a wonderful quality to it, and I really enjoy using that, but sometimes, you know, the digital comes along and it really does open up the possibilities. So, you know, it doesn't mean to say that we'll shoot everything now on digital and that film is dead. You know, film is definitely being replaced in lots of places by digital, but they're going to live together. They will work together. So we mustn't dismiss one for the sake of another. We must look at the values of the new technology and work out how best to use it. What's my favourite? It's kind of a hard one now, and I don't have any one piece of technology that I kind of absolutely adore. I mean, in a way, the piece of technology I use every day, I carry with me everywhere, I always have, it's incredibly reliable. I think it's an invaluable piece of technology, is this. You know, it is the most fantastic invention, absolutely brilliant. And I like the development of kind of, you know, of putting a rubber at the end, because that means if you've written something you don't like, you can rub it out and start again. But isn't that fantastic? You know, you kind of take that with you anywhere in the world. I don't have to plug it into anything, and all I have to do is find something to write on, which can almost be anything. So if you were saying to me, well, what's your favourite bit of technology? I'd say probably that is. My other bit of favourite technology is what we're doing now, is we're being filmed. Digitally, of course, as opposed to film. And that's going to be transmitted. And in a way, that's an incredible piece of technology. The fact that I'm sitting here chatting to you, this is going to be transmitted over the net. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And it just constantly amazes me every time we do it, every time I switch on my computer and see a blog or see a piece of film. I think, isn't that just incredible? That bit of technology that I was a sort of pioneer in, absolutely, my Betamax. And it still sort of not only burned a hole in my pocket, but burns a hole in my heart that it actually failed. And it was a great lesson for me, which is don't be an early adopter. You know, I went in early and was convinced by Sony it was going to be fantastic. Betamax was superior in terms of quality. I bought the whole thing, and there it is. All those tapes, that machine, gathering dust, me looking at it, wondering what the hell am I going to do with this? The answer, throw it out.